Hey guys, Elite Gamer here. In this video we're going to go over all the changes to Rep Paladins in the BFA pre-patch 8.0. Now to start things off, we're going to go over talent changes. So for the level 15 tier of talents, you have Zeal, Righteous Verdict, and Execution Sentence. So first off, Zeal has been changed. It used to hit up to 2 additional nearby targets to create splash damage. But now your judgment empowers you with Holy Zeal, causing your next 3 auto attacks to occur 30% faster and deal an additional 179 holy damage. This does not replace Crusader Strike anymore like it used to, so you get to keep that. Instead, this talent is now a passive that gives you a buff after you use Judgment, and gives you faster white damage, so more auto swings, or faster auto swings, with a little extra holy damage on top. This is not a bad choice for single target damage, but it's nothing too major, but it's still good talent. The second talent choice is Righteous Verdict. Basically, after you use a Templar's Verdict, your next Templar's Verdict, within 6 seconds, does 15% increased damage. This is a huge increase, since Templar's Verdict is our biggest spell and our main holy power dump. And yes, 6 seconds is plenty of time to build 3 holy power and dump again to keep the 15% buff up. And the third choice is Execution Sentence. This one has changed slightly, but it's still probably the worst pick in most scenarios. It's still a holy damage dot on the target, and it costs 3 holy power. But what's different is that it also increases your holy damage done to that target by 20% for 12 seconds, which is kind of a nice change. Next up is the level 30 tier. You have Fires of Justice, Blade of Wrath, and Hammer of Wrath. Now Fires of Justice hasn't changed at all, so you should know what that does, and we're not going to go over that. And as of right now for PvE, I'm finding that that talent is probably the best of the 3, just for holy power generation. It's faster. The second talent is Blade of Wrath. Again, this one hasn't changed, so you should also know what this one does. It hasn't been altered in any way. And last is Hammer of Wrath. For all you old rets out there, you know what this is. This is our kill shot, our execute, our finishing move. So basically, Hammer of Wrath is on a 6-second cooldown and has a 30-yard range. You throw a hammer at the target, dealing X amount of holy damage, and it's only usable on enemies below 20% HP, or when wings are up. It also generates 1 holy power. So it doesn't exactly hit that hard, but it is a ranged finishing move that gives you additional holy power. Personally, I'm finding this choice good for both PvE and PvP so far. Just when you're being kited by ranged classes in PvP, it's really nice to have that extra 30-yard reach ability to throw at someone, and it helps with holy power generation in the execute phase of a fight, which is always nice. On to the level 45 tier. This one's going to be short and sweet. All the picks are the same. We have Fist of Justice, Repentance, and Blinding Light. And due to the length of this video already, we're not going to go over anything because they haven't changed at all. They're all the same. So if you played a Rep Paladin last expansion, or a week ago, you already know how these work. So we're going to skip over those. On to the level 60 tier. We have Divine Judgment, Consecration, and Wake of Ashes. Divine Judgment basically gives you a stacking buff every time you spend holy power, up to 15 times. And when you press Judgment, it soaks those stacks and does increased damage. Now at 15 stacks, this makes your Judgment do massive damage. However, when you're doing a rotation in PvE for maximum damage, this choice really isn't practical. It takes 15 holy power dumps to be specific, to get the 15 stacks of increased damage for your Judgment. And you're not going to dump that much holy power without pressing Judgment, especially since that generates holy power now, but we're going to go over that later. It's not a practical talent, really. It's kind of fun for PvP, just to see if you could one-shot someone with wings and 15 stacks, but again, it takes a long time to build up. It's kind of it's just not practical. Concentration is the next talent, and it's the same as before, so we're not going to go over that. Generates 1 holy power, drops a ground effect, does damage to everyone around you, same thing. And the last choice is Wake of Ashes. Your artifact weapon ability is now a tier choice. Personally, I've been using this one the most, and I still like it. It's basically the same as it was in Legion. Generates 5 holy power instantly, does a frontward cleave and a cone in front of you. It's nice when you have no holy power and you're looking to get an instant 5 to help keep your Righteous Verdict talent damage increase buff going. They did nerf it slightly, however. The cooldown has been increased to 45 seconds, up from 30 seconds. So slight nerf, but nothing too major. Tier 75 talents. We have Unbreakable Spirit, Cavalier, and Eye for an Eye. Unbreakable Spirit basically reduces the cooldown of your Divine Shield, Shield of Vengeance, and Lay on Hands by 30%. It's pretty straightforward. I'm not going to go into too much detail about that. You guys can figure that out. Cavalier and Eye for an Eye are also unchanged. They are the same as they were before. So, again, we won't be covering those due to the length of the video. If you played Ret Paladin before, you should know how those work by now. It's all the same. On to tier 90 talents. We have Selfless Healer, and it's back. Now, so what does Selfless Healer do? Well, it's an old talent that was removed from Ret Paladins back in Cataclysm, I believe. And basically, your holy power spenders reduce the cast time of your next Flash of Light by 25%, and increase its healing done by 10%. And it stacks up to 4 times. So essentially, after 4 holy power dumps, your next Flash of Light is instant, and it heals for 40% more. Now, back in the day, it would only give you the 40% increased healing if you healed somebody other than yourself. But this time around, it still gives you that 40% buff, even if you heal yourself. So this is actually a pretty good choice, even if you're using it for self-healing. So it's slightly buff from how it used to be, if you remember how that used to be. But it's new, quote-unquote. So try it out, it's a lot of fun, gives you a lot of extra healing. It's great. The other picks are Just the Guard's Vengeance and Word of Glory, which, as most of our talents, are unchanged and are the same as they were in Legion, so we won't be going over those. On to the tier 100 talents, we have Divine Purpose, which is almost the same as it was. Basically, it still procs free holy power dump, but has an added effect of buffing your damage and healing done of the ability of your choice by 30%. So essentially that free proc you get from Divine Purpose now hits a little bit harder. They tried to make it more in line with the other choices because it wasn't all that great of a pick in Legion, so hopefully now it's a little bit better. We also have Crusade, which is the same, and we won't be going over that. And the last choice, we have Inquisition. Again, this is another old red ability that was removed from the game and now brought back. Basically, Inquisition consumes 1, 2, or 3 holy power, as much as you like, and it gives you a 7% buff to haste and holy damage done. Each holy power you spend increases its duration by 15 seconds, so 3 holy power will give you 45-second buff. It's just a 45-second buff to haste and damage done, so it's kind of nice. I can't decide which one's better between Divine Purpose and Inquisition. For PvP, Divine Purpose is proving to be a lot of fun. PvE, in the long run of a fight, Inquisition might be better. I don't know, people theorycraft this shit. Google it, you'll figure it out. The next section we will be covering is ability changes and the changes to our mastery. So to start things off, our mastery has been altered a bit. Before, when you use Judgment, you applied a debuff to the target, giving you an 8-second window to deal increased damage from your holy power spenders, and it also buffed the damage done by Judgment itself. But now, that is all gone. All our mastery does now is increase our holy damage done. Real exciting, I know. Now on to abilities. First off is Judgment. Judgment used to apply that debuff to the target, increasing damage done from Holy Power spenders for 8 seconds. But now that's gone. Sort of. Judgment now causes the target to take 25% increased damage from your next Holy Power spender. That means just one Templar's Verdict or Divine Storm. Not for 8 seconds, so another nerf. Next ability that's being changed is Avenging Wrath. Our Wings now only does 20% increased damage and healing. But they added another effect to it. It also increases our crit chance by 20%. This also only lasts 20 seconds. One thing to keep in mind, if you choose the talent Crusade, it replaces this, and you will gain the haste buff from Crusade and an additional 5 seconds onto your wings, so it'll last 25 seconds up in 20. But Crusade will also replace Avenging Wrath, so you will lose the 20% crit buff from your regular wings. Personally, I feel like this makes Crusade an invalid talent. It's a terrible choice. You're basically trading a haste buff and a few extra seconds for a massive crit buff, which, don't get me wrong, I know haste is great for Reds, okay? But when you compare Crusade to your other choices between the new buff Divine Purpose and Inquisition, I think you're better off just keeping regular Avenging Wrath and going with an Inquisition buff, or going with buffed Divine Purpose buffs. But that's my opinion. People theorycraft the best choice. Go to Simcraft, figure it out. And last but not least, a couple notable changes that people should keep in mind. People may not realize this at first, or yet, but we've lost all of our artifact weapon talents. Now for Ret, these are mostly just damage buffs or cooldown reductions, things of that nature, so nothing really noticeable. One in particular though, that was an important one for PvE, we no longer have the range effect on Divine Storm. Keep in mind that there was an artifact talent, and now that it's gone, you can't throw your D-Storm at the boss, so positioning matters again. Alright, so we've been talking for way too long. You guys are probably bored and asleep by this point. So to conclude things here and wrap it all up, are Rets good right now? I'm sure all of you are asking. The short answer is yes, but the long answer is we don't really know yet. As of right now, our PvE damage output seems pretty competitive. And as far as PvP goes, BGs are a real shit show right now. Mages are still a fucking nightmare. But in arenas, we feel pretty great, to be honest. And damage it's a bit out of control right now, from what I've seen so far. Rets are kind of monsters. But again, this could all change once BFA comes out and we reach level 120. But anyways, hopefully this answered some questions you guys might have had, and hopefully this information helps a bit. And if you guys want to know more about Paladins and not just Ret, let me know in the comments. Also, if I missed anything or forgot to add something, please let me know. I'd love to hear it. Anyways, thanks for watching.